Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you cannot tell by the title, this is the video that I have been most excited to film and make in 2026. We are doing a TBR Prompt Jar picks my January TBR. So first thing, I want to start off by some goals that we're going to be setting for our January reading and reading for the rest of the year. First things first, I want to be more picky with my ratings. I feel like I'm one of those people that I tend to easily give books some very high ratings if I just enjoyed it. So I just want to be more picky with my ratings, more specific, maybe even writing some more reviews. And if you guys didn't know, in the description box, I have my Goodreads and my Fable linked if you ever want to see books that I'm currently reading or books that I've read in the past and what I've rated them. It's a fun little community. I love using the apps to log the books that I'm reading and books I want to read. Next thing is I want to expand reading tastes and authors. I feel like I tend to stick to the same two things, whether that's romance, fantasy, or thriller area. I just feel like I have specific authors in each category that I like to read from, and I want to be better about reading from more authors, reading different types of genres. And so that's my biggest goal this year, is kind of expanding my reading tastes and expanding outside of authors that I already know and love. Now for book goal, because I do have a reading goal for 2026, I chose the reading goal of 50 books this year, and I went ahead and did the math of how many books I would have to average a month to reach this reading goal. And so far it is at 4 books a month because I'm not behind. So my goal is to try to at least complete it. I'm not going to be really strict with myself because the last 2 years that I've had a reading goal, I've set it and I've come close, but I never actually finished it. So hopefully we can reach the reading goal or at least exceed the reading goal. And then lastly, this one is utilizing my Kindle and public library more. And that's kind of what the prompts in this jar are for. I have a bunch of prompts that help utilize your public library or your Kindle and your Kindle Unlimited. So I definitely curated it towards that. I'm very blessed with all of the books that I have on my bookshelf. I'm not one of those people who has those giant book rooms with all of the books on the bookshelves. And books are expensive, so I try not to just buy a bunch of books that I'm never going to read. So I'm pretty picky when it comes to book shopping, and that's why I kind of utilize my Kindle and my public library more. So I wanted to create some prompts in case you guys want to do this at home and you don't want to go out and buy a book every single time you want to read. Lastly, after I am done with picking my TBR, if you guys want to see at the end of the month, or end of every month at least, a reading wrap up of all of the books that I read, if I did more or if I even got to my TBR, and my ratings and kind of what the books are about, because I can totally do that. That's such an easy video to do. I love filming those, so if you guys want to see those, let me know. We are moving on to the prompts that I wrote. I have, like I said, I have around 50-ish prompts, maybe even more. I'm just going to go through and read off all of the prompts that I have in case you guys need some prompt ideas for your TBR jar. Book with X cover. So I just did all of the colors. I did red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, white, black, and brown. A thriller book, a romance book, and a fantasy book. I just kind of did one from the main 3 type of books that I tend to read. A book that has been on my TBR for more than a year. A book you know nothing about. I think this is really fun because I tend to scroll through Goodreads and Fable, and there will be books that I've added to my list just because I really like the cover or seen a brief overview of, oh, it's recommended, it might be something you like, and I've added it to want to read, but I don't really know the synopsis of the book or literally anything about it, and I've never seen someone review it. So this one could be a tricky one because I could either find a book that I end up really liking or find a book that I did not like. Blindly choose a book. Now for this one, I did a Kindle version of this. So I have 2 versions in this list that you'll see. So when you're on your Kindle, there's a bunch of lists of books that based on your reading, or books recommended from Kindle Unlimited, or books in this category. And so sometimes I like to click on those and it has a list, and I figured it would be fun to scroll through those options and stop and then scroll through and pick a book. So that one could be interesting. The next one is Macaulay picks my book, public library or Kindle. For this one, I actually have a little dice. This one is if Macaulay rolls an odd number, it's from the library and we have to go to the library and he picks out my book. And if he rolls an even number, it has to be on my Kindle and he gets full reign. I don't get to tell him what it has to be in or anything. He gets to freely choose my book. He does not read. He does not keep a up with anything, this could be really interesting. Reread, I have a couple of books in mind if I do get this one that I really want to reread, and specifically The Love Hypothesis. It's not on my shelf right now. My sister-in-law is borrowing it, but there's a couple of books that I want to do a reread of. Series you need to finish. I am like in the middle of 3 or 4, and there's one specifically when I wrote this one that I've been procrastinating for a really long time. A series you want to start. There's a lot of series that I wrote down in my notes app for 2026 that I specifically want to try to get to. So I have a huge list of series that I could possibly start. An author with the same last name as me. Do you know a specific author who has a certain set of books that has the same last name as me? A book that has an adaptation, but I've never read the book. I did give some examples for myself in this one. Divergent, don't come for me. For all of you people who love to read these books and you've seen the movies, I have seen Divergent a long time ago, but I never read the book. Same thing with Twilight. I've seen Twilight several times, but I've never read the books. And then Hunger Games, this one's like partially true, partially not true. I've read the first like half of the series, and then as the books have come out and as the movies have come out, I've seen the movies, but I haven't really read the books. So I kind of want to do like a reread of that series. A book from my public library in the YA section. The main reason I did this was just because they moved the YA section in our public library, and it's like 3 specific shelves in its own room. And so I thought this would be really fun to, I could either take Macaulay with me and I do like a start stop, or I just find one in that section that I want to read from. A book from my Kindle recommendation. Like I said a minute ago, when you're on your Kindle, sometimes it has a section called like your recommended based on what you've read, or Kindle Unlimited recommendations. I just figured it would be fun to maybe pick a book from those categories. A new release at my library. What I mean by this is like if you go on our public library, there's like a category on their website where it shows you books that have just come into the library that they've added to their collection. Blindly pick my book from the library. And this is kind of what I meant by like Macaulay could help me, or I could just kind of close my eyes, like start, stop, something like that, you know, just blindly pick my book like with my eyes closed and like find one. Oh, this one was fun. I don't even know how I thought about this, but I just thought it would be really unique. A book that was published on my birthday, not necessarily the year, it has to be October 2nd, like has to be a book that was released during that time. A new release, specifically like a new release from that year or even that month. Fable picks my read, specifically Scout. If you don't use the Fable app, when you make a list of like books you finished, books you want to read, or books you haven't read, if you go to your want to read, there is like a AI feature almost on Fable where you can have Scout pick your book. It randomly generates and picks your next read. A series that only has 3 books in it, there's actually quite a few that I was thinking of. So I was thinking of Once Upon a Broken Heart series that only has 3. The Summer I Turned Pretty only has 3 in the series. Maple Hills series only has 3. A book that is less than 300 pages. Honestly, I would probably find something in the short story category. And then next I have a book that has more than 400 pages. That one I feel like is pretty easy to reach, especially if you're in the romance section. Then I have YA fantasy. So kind of going along with a fantasy thriller romance, I just wanted to throw a YA fantasy in there. A book cover that matches your outfit. This could be interesting because I have no clue what I'm going to be wearing when I pick these. A book that you've been putting off. Newest book on my TBR. Now what I meant by this is it doesn't necessarily have to be like a new book that you bought. Again, on Fable and Goodreads, I'm pretty sure when you put your book on your want to read list, it keeps it in order of like what was the newest one that you added. So I just felt like this would be an easy one to go to my list and look and go, oh, okay, that's the newest one on my want to read. So a debut novel. This one, I feel like if I'm gonna do this one, it needs to be an author that I really love their work now, because I feel like most debut novels are not the greatest, to be honest. But if I get this one in March, my plan is to read Haley Pham's new book, because if you guys watch Haley Pham, her debut novel comes out in March. So a book set on a beach, specifically Emily Henry. I mean, all of her books are set on a beach or summertime or something fun. A Western romance. I specifically put this because like Lila Sage, Elsie Silver has some Western romances. Pinterest picks my read. So this one, I wasn't sure how I was going to go about this, but it was going to be more like, you could also do Instagram picture read, but mainly in the search bar doing like book aesthetic and then scrolling through the photos and seeing if I could find a book title of a book that I've never read. A book with an animal on the cover. And then I did wanted a book with a flower on the cover. There's a book by Christina Lauren again that has flowers all over it that I really want to read. A book I DNF'd. Oof. Yeah, this is also another one that I made to kind of challenge myself, but I don't necessarily want to get this one because I think I've only DNF'd one book, maybe two, but it could be interesting because it could challenge me to see if my reading taste has changed or not. A book from your current favorite genre. This one could be unique because I feel like my genre and my taste is constantly changing. So just something from what I'm feeling at the time. A book that intimidates you. Once again, Kristen Hanna, her books intimidate me, but also starting Throne of Glass is very nerve-wracking for me. And the main reason that intimidates me is because people have this idea of what order it should be read in. And I've heard 3 different ways that it should be read. And then like doing the tandem read and all of that. So if you've read that series and you've read it multiple times or you know what order is the best, please let me know because I am in desperate need of help when it comes to that series. A book that will make you cry. There has been books that have like made me tear up, but I don't think I've ever read a book that I was like sobbing. Oh yeah, this one would be fun if you've traveled a lot out of the country, but I did a book set in a country you've never visited. This one's pretty easy for me because I've literally never been outside of the country. A book with magical realism. One of my favorite authors who does this is Ashley Poston, and this is actually my favorite book by her, The 7-Year Slip. She does a lot of magical realism in her books. Like for example, in this one, she moves into her aunt's apartment and every time she steps in, she could be in present day or she could be 7 years in the past, and she literally doesn't know until she opens the door to the apartment and steps inside. But yeah, she's a really good author when it comes to that type of category. Book with a number in the title. For example, 7-Year Slip has a 7 in it. And then I was thinking of like Fourth Wing has a number in it. And then a dual POV. I feel like this is becoming more popular now, but I feel like it didn't used to be very popular when I first started reading. One of the people that I love to read her books is Lauren Asher. Always does dual POV and I love it. I love a dual POV when it comes to a romance, but specifically, I think it would be really fun to read a dual POV thriller. We're on to the last 2. So a book that matches my nails. It doesn't necessarily have to be like the same design or the same vibe, but mainly like color. This kind of goes along with the outfit type of theme. But in the summertime, I do like to do like seashell nails or beachy nails, so we could go with the theme. It kind of just depends. And then last but not least, I did 4 bingo book cards, and that basically just means like free range. I can do a mood read. I can pick what I want to read specifically. So I only did 4 of those in here. I felt like that was a lot just because there's a lot of prompts in here that I really like. If you have any prompt suggestions down below of something fun that we could add to the jar, I still have a bunch of empty pages, or even just to help other people out, I will do my best to link every single one of these prompts in the description box. That way it's all just in one place. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the first 2 books that I have read or are currently reading. The first book that I finished, I started in December, did not finish it, so I decided to finish it in January. It was Merry Little Christmas by Lauren Blakely. It was a standalone holiday romance. I started Love Arranged by Lauren Asher in November, I think I did. I started it a while ago and I got 20% in of the way through, and then I wanted to do some holiday reads, so I kind of put pause on it and now I'm reading it again. Now we're gonna pick 2 more reads. This is scary. I don't know why I'm nervous. A book from my Kindle recommendation. Okay, I'm gonna go grab my Kindle really quickly. I have my Kindle all powered up. So I'm gonna do recommended for you. So they have recommended for you based on your reading, books you may like in Kindle Unlimited, inspired by your browsing history, continue series you've started, more like my current read, popular this month. I think we're gonna do popular this month just because it's January. So let's go through popular this month and we're gonna pick one. Okay, it gave me 50 options. My only rule is it has to be on Kindle Unlimited. So first option for Kindle Unlimited is His and Hers by Alice Feeney. I have been wanting to read one of her books for a while. If You Tell by Greg Olson, The Last Moon Girls by Barbara Davis, The Dutch House, a novel by Anne Patchett, The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex Harrow, hopefully I said that right, The 20th Victim by James Patterson. So it also has to be the first book in the series. Honeysuckle Season by Mary Ellen Taylor, Trust No One by Deborah Webb. Okay, I actually think we're gonna go with pick number 1 popular this month, and I'm gonna download it. So I'm going with His and Hers by Alice Feeney. Oh, wait a second. Is it coming out on Netflix? It says something about Netflix. Now a major Netflix TV series. I did not know that it was on Netflix. Okay, anyways, and we're gonna move on to our second pick. We're gonna leave these prompts outside because I don't want to get them again. Let's give it a good shake. Book with a pink cover. Okay, so we have to find a book with a pink cover. I'm gonna screen record on my phone and we are gonna go through Fable. So I'm gonna go over to my lists and we're gonna go to my want to read. Pink cover. We have Nora Goes Off Script. That has some pink on it. Once Upon a Broken Heart kind of has pink in the cover. Wild and Wrangled has pink on the cover. I've been meaning to read that book. Magnolia Parks has pink on the cover. Summer Romance has pink on the cover. Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood has pink on the cover. Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. Oh my gosh, is that all I have on my want to read? I need to keep adding books to that because that's definitely not it. I think I'm gonna do Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood because I've been really wanting to read Problematic Summer Romance. I'm gonna check to see if it's on our public library really quickly. Let me see if it's available through Libby and then we'll check physical form. If I do have to go in person, I want to check all of my options first. So it is a 19 weeks wait. Looks like we're gonna go get it. So we're gonna take this video over to the public library and we're gonna go get it and check out, and I will see you guys there. Okay, we are back from the public library and I have all of my books for my TBR thanks to the TBR jar. And like I said, don't forget, if you guys want to see a reading wrap up at the end of the month, please let me know because I can totally do that. The TBR prompts will be in the description box. If you have any recommendations for me, let me know. And that is all I have for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!